So it's very, very interesting this week what's happening with crypto. I've made a ton of position moves. We've been in a very, very interesting spot, I would say, also on legacy markets. And yeah, we're gonna go over it. We're gonna go over the plans. We're gonna go over how to manage the whole thing because it's really hard on the nerves. Even personally for me, I'm gonna share like my personal thought process and what I've been going through and the issues I've faced through the past several months and especially this week. And hopefully, you guys will find value in it. And hopefully Bitcoin will start going up even more. Let's start with the S&P. We're here on the monthly, and as you can see, we've been in a I don't know how else to describe it. It's been just a massive bull run. Ever since pretty much the beginning of the year, end of last year, we've been on a tear. We had a few hiccups on the way. Market got scared here around Japan. We had another scare this week with the escalation between Iran and Israel. But just the market's been very, very strong. It's been shrugging it off. And I wanted to show you here what I've been looking for on the S&P. So obviously this was a very important all-time high breakout, very clean, into higher lows here. We just squeezed and now we're into price discovery pretty much. Had a small correction, but even like with the scare of the war, I we didn't even retest these levels, However you draw it, we didn't even touch it. So the market kind of front ran it. The issue, in my opinion, would be if we still get like a fake out here. I think crypto will suffer even if we have something like this, or we just consolidate and then fizzle out below this level of like what's that 570, I would say. I think that's a crucial moment in the markets. If we continue just higher and higher and do whatever we've been doing in the past several months, I think we'll be all right. And I think the thesis for a bull market in crypto will start playing out early next year. Potentially this year, of course, but early next year. Remember, like things in crypto could get from 0 to 100, even to 1,000 very, very quickly. And that's why I've been positioning myself maybe a little bit early, but again, probably one of the best spots to when it comes to risk to reward. This is, let's jump into the weekly first. So this is the weekly picture on Bitcoin. I just delete all of these. But we've been over this ad nauseum pretty much. This is pretty much the range we've been kind of going down, lower highs, lower lows. Now, last week, we had this first break of structure to a higher high. And now, technically, we're looking for the higher low. So everything is playing out. Like, even if I wished for it, I wouldn't be able to tell you to play out even better, because we had a retest that we're having right now. We are holding above 60K, a level that I've mentioned several times as a very, very important level on several time frames. Like this is the daily, but on the weekly as well, you can see, not exactly this is 60K, but like this entire area between 58 and 60K. I've been zooming out, but this entire area, I would say, very, very crucial for the market and place where you can place your stop losses, and as close as possible we are to it, the better entries you get, obviously. But very important, and for me it was very important to hold, because if we jump on the daily, technically, this on the lower time frames, this could be considered the last low here, around 58, and anything below it, I would say, gets really dicey. But I don't want us really to go under 60K for several reasons. You can see that the moving average, the 100 and the 200 here are very close to each other. I want to see for one time like strength on the market, not just test everybody's nerve and test the lows again. And then are we gonna pump? Are we not gonna pump? We've been through this several times. So I would like us to hold this level. And it's a nice confluence, 60K round number. Everybody's watching at this. Moving average is around here. And it's just when the stock market also is at a similar level where it's of the same importance, like near the all-time high, I think this is a very important. Just give me a second, guys, because my phone is ringing. Sorry about that. So where was I? Yeah. Okay. So it's very important in my eyes to just keep above this level. And actually now in the last several days, so I think this here, October 1st, like this dump, the second red candle was the day of the attack. And this is where it started to get kind of dicey. But we really held through it. And now on the lower time frames, we're starting to see some strength, of course, helped by the stock market. We had some unemployment data today, which is much better than the market expected. So this is also helping out. But now, in my opinion, if my invalidation was here before, now I can safely move it into here. And now it gives us even better risk to reward and even better kind of view of where the market could be going potentially. And if we jump just real quick on the 4 hour, I was about to say before we went live that this for me will be crucial. So let me just draw these levels. So 60K obviously around here. A lot of reactions. We had some SFPs here. Grab liquidity, which is great, to see that we didn't have closes on the 4 hour here below this level. It was getting dicey. I wouldn't lie to you guys. Like the last couple of days have been hard because I've positioned. I still have like 35% in cash in the overall portfolio. And I was doubting myself on a few entries yesterday. I didn't enter them when they were at my price targets and at my zones. We're going to discuss them in a bit. But, where seems to be getting out of the woods, I would say. And once we didn't have a close. Now what I was looking was at this cluster around here. And if we could start closing above it, so this will be a 4 hour close for me. But as you can see, we're starting to see some strength. We could still fake out even today. Like even if we jump on the hourly, we had a couple of hours after the open on the markets that this thing just dumped drastically, and it was right exact at this spot that I'm interested around 62K to close above. And you can see this wick here. A few days ago we had a massive wick above it. But now that we have some more price history, I would say the probability of us closing above it on the 4 hour and potentially, moving out of this 60K area with a little bit more conviction is growing more and more as a probability, as a percentage base. So this is really good to see. And from here, I think things could get like escalated very quickly, especially if we get back above like 64K, which was a crucial area here. And you can see the reactions in the wicks. If we get back above this, I think this will be, at least for the short term, bulls on, like party on, at least till we get 70K, which could happen, honestly, in a couple of candles. So, don't be surprised if we get in there, if we get there in a rush. This is really the second confirmation that we want to get for the bull market to continue. The bear case currently is that we do something like this. Even on the daily, you could argue that this here is another higher low, and then we made a higher high, but we kind of broke this structure. And now if we come back and retest it, because also we have the moving average here, the 200 moving average here, if we come back and retest it and we sell off again, this could also, cause a further sell pressure and potentially we just go lower. We could, of course, chop around here. We've been chopping for forever already, but I wouldn't want to see this scenario play out. I would just want price to start showing some strength, maybe some volume to come back, and to start seeing, more and more momentum towards 70K. That will be, the thing that I will be looking for. Because for now we're keeping structure. It's looking all right. But if we start seeing weakness at these key levels, so first one I would say we cleared for now. Again, if we see a close here above 62 on the 4 hour, And then this level here, I think we could we could take a breather, let's say, in a way. Yeah, so this is Bitcoin. I've positioned myself around 61 was my last entry. So I didn't catch the wicks and so on, but I'm okay, you know. And one of the reasons I still have cash and I missed some positioning is that honestly, I started calculating like this. I think something everyone should do all the time. Like when you start entering position, and especially altcoin positions, you need to calculate first of all the position risk and then your overall risk on the portfolio. And at some point, yesterday, you know, my buys were triggering, but then I was like, okay, hold on. I do definitely want to go all in at some point. And this might have been the best point. Don't get me wrong. You know, this could have been, and it should feel uncomfortable to get all in at these kind of levels, but these are like the best entries. But then I started calculating my overall risk with all the entries that I got. And I was like, okay, that's starting to grow, especially with riskier assets like ordinals. That's starting to grow, and it's becoming like somewhere in the areas of around 5 to 6% from my overall portfolio, which I was like, you know, it's starting to get. It's not crazy risk. It's like if this collapses, I'm not gonna lose half of my portfolio, and you shouldn't anyway like aim to do this. But I was starting to be like, okay, we will have more entries. Yes, they will probably be at worse prices from here, but we will have fresh setups that will give us a little bit more conviction so that the risk is a little bit lower. And then I could go a little bit heavier if I decide to go, you know, 100% into crypto, or maybe leave like 10, 15% for swing trades, for like faster trades that I want to be doing. But yeah, this is like the thought process I've gone through in the past few days. It was shaky around here, around this area. We didn't get closes, of course, but it was looking tricky. And you know, I just wanted to share like what were my thoughts and like my process of making this or that decision, so that you know, I think it also helps for your analysis and for your trading and for whatever you plan to do going in the future. Um, the thing is that it's been so choppy in general that these entries that we got around 60K and on some outs, they will either look extremely smart in a couple of weeks and will be like fucking geniuses for grabbing the lows here, or and it will be kind of obvious, you know, everybody will be like, oh, this was the bottom. Yes, 60K, of course. Why would you not think this is the bottom? Or it will look very stupid because, you know, if it just fakes out and everybody will be like, oh, that was stupid decision to buy this mid-range in the middle of nowhere, and you know, bearish macro and stuff, and this will again look obvious. So we're in this kind of a 50-50 situation where we're like, you know, playing the odds, and I like my odds, and that's why although it's in a way 50-50, you know, when you get such a good risk to reward so close to invalidation, I think it's definitely worth taking up on. And yeah, that's my rant. Let's go over some more charts and some positions that I've been in and out of. So Ethereum, not much to discuss, honestly. Still, it's been just ranging. It didn't come to like this low here, but many charts showed this actually. Many charts didn't reach their lows or support levels. They kind of front ran it, which in a way is good. You know, this is typical of a bullish structure because you'll have to do this. Like, so we had the low here, then we shifted, retested. So we had a higher low here, retested this level, then we made another higher high, and now this potentially a higher low here. So very good for the bulls, this type of structure. And I'm not surprised we're not testing it. That's why on some tokens I had early entries, like for example Jupiter. You know, I've mentioned that this will be one of my main Solana plays. This or Giro, you know, depends on how things are going. And I started scaling around 80 cents, like 78, 80 cents are most of my buy orders. I even had a bit from up here, I think, so 85 cents. And then you just see that it's a choppy market, and the obvious level is here, somewhere around 70. So this is the low, and we're not tagging the low, and that's why I started scaling in early with the risk that this could happen. And my last orders didn't hit because they were at 70 cents. They didn't hit, but now if this flips bullish, it's okay. You know, I have a position. It's not a huge size, and I could add on a confirmation, but I wanted to have exposure specifically to this one for many reasons. I've discussed them in the past. I'm not going to go over them again. ZK, another one. This played out a little bit better. So right at the level, I had few orders stacked around this area. And as you can see again, we even faked out here. This is really good actually. This wick here again gives us a really nice invalidation level here. So I wouldn't be risking that much on this position. I could add a bit more size, but I'm okay with the sizing right now on ZK. And this is just, I'm not gonna cut my trade here at 15 cents if we get into a bull market. But this is a thesis, like I'll be watching this level here. I did this with Bitcoin the last time we traded it from 60 to 64 when there wasn't a higher high. And I would definitely be monitoring this level. But if we start seeing weakness, yes, I will cut the trade. But in general, my targets are much higher if we get there. So just be aware that this is not to be followed 100% if anyone's like looking at it. It's like my idea of, a potential price target that I'll be scaling out if I see a reason for. Zero, this fucker is faking me out for a second time. So last time I traded zero, it was here. So it broke out, had a massive push, was a 30% day. It came to retest it, and somewhere around here, I was like, great, retest, first retest, fresh retest, let's start buying zero. And it just dumped. Dumped like a motherfucker. I cut it here for small loss. And then overall, if you zoom out, like this is the daily chart, there's not much price history, but you can see there's a lot of strength here. And I did the same. So we broke out of a level, we retested the all-time high here, sold off, and around this level, I'm like, okay, now is the time for zero to show us a higher high. Yet it continued dumping. And you can see it even broke down a bit. So technically, this is a lower low. So I will be definitely keeping an eye on this position. But if we get back to like about 4-4, I'll be a little bit more confident. But this, sometimes there are trades that just don't work out that well. And this might be one of those that I'm trying. Although it's, keeping bullish structure and so on. I've mentioned before that right now I'm quite active with my entries and exits because we're at the so-called like 50-50 area. And I'm risking, yes, I'm losing on some of these small losses. But I'm also limiting my overall risk because the other strategy is to just hope and pray for a bull market. But I personally don't like this strategy. It doesn't play out that well in the long term, in my opinion. If you know what you're doing. So yeah, it's been a hard one to trade, but again, I'm just keeping it, managing it with the sizing. Ondo, another one. I think this one also played out quite perfectly at support, retested. Now it's bouncing. Went just under my entry, but that's okay. We cannot get perfect entries. POW is one from yesterday, if I remember correctly. Pretty much the same reason. Had a first push, came to retest this on the weekly even, looking a little bit better. One can argue that this is still a lower high here compared to this one. But if this is the first sign of strength, and it looks like it might be, this is one of the stronger tokens. It was back here in the previous one, and now out of it, it's showing similar strength. So, I just decided to add a position, again, very close to invalidation. So this is how I prefer. I added Carrot today. Maybe I could add a bit more lower because we're still a bit above this level. But as I said, sometimes we don't retest perfectly. That's why I wanted to add the size here. Berry's doing okay. This is a smaller shit token, but I'm not sure if it's related. Honestly, when I was looking at it, I think they might have gotten the name from the um, ChatGPT guys because they're working on a strawberry product. It still hasn't launched. I think they have some kind of inside information, and they did the name of the token in this way, and that's why it has been doing so well. And it will continue to do well if people start catching fire. But again, Also, this is, I think, a decent product. So yeah, just keep this in mind. There are a few other tokens that I went in and closed. So one of them is Pendle. Pendle, I had an entry, and looking back at it, it's just a perfect entry here around 3.64, I think was my order. Now it's just pushing higher. Um, I pulled it out because again, it wasn't close enough to the support level, so a little bit further away. And since I was already kind of getting a lot of risk exposure, I decided to pull it up. Now it turns out to be a mistake, but this could have just been down only. Same with Beam. Actually, I wanted Beam in my portfolio, but now if it closes above here, I might actually add, because my ad was around 16.016, and again just sold off, and I just wanted to limit my exposure a little bit, so I sold it pretty much break even. That's why I haven't really talked about it. But there are a bunch of other charts. We're not going to go over all of them right now, but there are a bunch of other charts that look good. Tau is one that I'm potentially looking. I don't think we're going to get this pullback unless something drastic happens on the market. So maybe a secondary breakout here could be interesting. Same with Sui, actually. Just come on, Sui. Sui, same thing. So close to an all-time high breakout. Very, very strong token. Super is one that I'm interested in also from the gaming perspective. Again, I'm not sure if we're going to get this. We technically had this wick down into here. But yeah, I was looking for something deeper, honestly. So let's see. Yeah, but if this level breaks, I think it's a pretty clean level to train around with so many touches. And I'm willing to pay a bit more. There are a few other like real world asset tokens that I'm interested. I traded this back here. I want to have some. It's been showing nice accumulation pattern here. It didn't, again, you can see it didn't reach the low parts here. There are a few others like Palm. This is an AI token. Very clean chart again, clean range. Prime also showing strength. I did buy Prime. I had an order here at 9. Again, I thumbed up the back. It was a small position. But I was like, you know, having doubts yesterday, as I mentioned, and honestly, it didn't feel great. So I cut it up. I think I didn't even alert it. I have to send the alert out. But yeah, this one also is looking good, and I would be willing to trade even a secondary breakout here. Even here, I might add just to my position, just to have some, because I still like it long term. And there are many other tokens. If you just go through the list, you'll find plenty of tokens that are looking similarly. One thing that we didn't discuss is Soul. Where was Soul? Here you go. So Soul still very strong. Actually, very good retest here on the 135 area. Perfect. And this is actually probably the better entry you could have had for a continuation of the bull run. But again, I'm not, you know, I've placed my bet on the Soul ecosystem with Jupiter, so I'm not sure I'm just gonna buy Soul outright. We'll see. But it's in an area of a lot of resistance here, so above 160, I think, looks good. Somebody mentioned Render in the chat. Let me just look at this. So Render is obviously one of the biggest AI tokens. They provide infrastructure and share GPU power. Again, I've just marked this already, but if we jump on the weekly, you can see similar structure to Bitcoin, actually. We broke into a new high. We retested the lows here with a nice wick currently on the weekly. And now I would argue that even a close above here, although you're not getting a perfect entry, I think this makes sense. Like if you have a continuation on a bull run, if you believe you're going to have a continuation on the bull run, 14% risk to make at least 2x your money to all-time high, it's nothing. It's I think a pretty decent bet. Or you can bet on the breakout here again. So pretty decent chart, I would say. Not the best when it comes to AI. I like to play the AI tokens with a little bit more leverage, and this just basically means that I would gamble on smaller tokens. So something like this one. Yeah, so this one is called Titan. Don't ask me what it does. I wouldn't even tell you. It's a bot that does like smart contracts for you. And it's just looking good. The chart's just looking good. It's keeping this level. Again, if this breaks down, it wouldn't be a huge size for me. I'll just cut it. But if this starts catching fire, the multiples on these are crazy. They just really accelerate. So you need a few of those to make good returns. So yeah, that's gonna be my strategy also for DI stuff. I'm looking for a little float on the a little bit lower tokens on the market cap side. When it comes to ordinals, I bought these guys. So these are actually on Fractal. I bought a few at 7.5 FB. Now they're doing all right. Again, amazing infrastructure on the Unisat website and the charts. But I sold a couple at 23 or somewhere around that. So took out my cost basis on some of these. I'll probably look to scale out more if they start pumping. But again, this is one of those bets that it's low risk. They're still small as a collection, and they're pulling good volume. And if Fractal actually gets track, I think this will be the premier collection to have. So I do want to keep exposure, but I also wanted to manage risk in case like this thing just collapses. So yeah, this is how I'm playing it. When it comes to the ordinals, another bag that I fumbled yesterday was Bitcoin Puppets. So what happened here exactly? I've mentioned this that I was looking to add. I bought a puppet at around 0.12. I wanted to add another one closer to 0.1. And yesterday, before I went to bed, I was just staring at the chart and I was like, "Fuck, this isn't my entry." But at the same time, Bitcoin was looking shaky, and I was like, do I buy it? I hesitated. Honestly, I hesitated to pull the trigger. I actually should have bought even two, because that was my initial plan to have at least three puppets. And I didn't. Then by the time I woke up, they just shut up. It was really quick reversal from this morning. And the market's been demanding it. There are a lot of, like, I see a lot of wallets sweeping this, not just one or two buys. And people are watching this chart. I'm pretty sure about this. Now the second entry, I would argue, is somewhere around here, or maybe we get a blessing and maybe it cools off a bit and consolidates here. Gives me a little bit of a better entry. I'm salty on one side because I didn't follow through with my plan, but on the other side, I'm like, I know why I didn't do it. Because of the overall risk exposure and in the things that I already discussed. So it was a tricky spot for me personally. I didn't execute as good as possible, but still I do have exposure. It's not like I have zero exposure. It's just I didn't get the exposure that I should have gotten. And potentially, if this just sold off and Bitcoin was selling off below 60 and I didn't buy here last night, I would be like, fuck yeah, I'm great. I'm amazing because I didn't. So again, the 50-50 area, even in ordinals, very obvious. But if we chop around or we have a bit more strength here, I think these will still be very good entries. Because imagine potentially we're somewhere around here. I'll show you another chart on Bitcoin Frogs, but imagine we're somewhere around here. So we had a push, had a correction. So ideal entry is somewhere around here, so 0.5. However, on this leg of strength where we break out, it's still a decent entry. Yes, you wouldn't be making the multiples, but just look at this, guys. If you took the breakout on this one, even not ideal entry, to the top, that's 400% gains. Yes, if you caught here the bottom to the top, it's 600%, but you're still catching the meat of the move. Same with the frogs. We could be potentially, this is like the vibes I'm getting, we could be here in Ornos. That's the bet I've been making, but I haven't been going too heavy on. So this was accumulation. We had the first sign of strength here. So this candle right here, first sign of strength after we had this, bottoming pattern. and now we're breaking out of it. So imagine you catch Bitcoin frogs at 0.03 before they go on to go into 0.4. I can imagine it because I played it. This way around, I played it perfectly, I would say. But imagine we're here at the same moment. I would still pay a bit more for confirmation, and I wouldn't mind waiting. Although I bought a frog somewhere around this area at the week at 0.037 or something around this. I wouldn't mind buying another one at 0.05, with the confirmation that we could be getting. Imagine Bitcoin goes to 70K and it doesn't fake us out, because that's also a possibility. So yeah, these are the things I'm watching. Yeah, I'll be away for the weekend, but I'll try to, keep track of what's going on in the markets, because it's the time of the year that we need to pay attention. And yeah, I'll reevaluate if I want to add a bit more risk here. I'll check what Bitcoin is doing also, because as you can see here on the 4-hour, we're still not clear above this level. And as we're speaking, you could see the wick forming. So ideally, we hold above here. So we that have a little bit more breathing room. And while the markets are closed over the weekend, we could even see a push, because if the S&P behaves until the close, which is in a few hours, potentially Bitcoin could also be pushing higher over the weekend. But yeah, these are the things. These are the plans. And yeah, you know how to find me, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.